For me, the East is probably the easiest division. Was the easiest division for me to pick. The Bills, obviously, they have the best quarterback in that division. I think they have the best overall roster. I went the Chiefs. In the AFC West, with the Ravens, which is a very unpopular pick because a lot of people think the Bengals are up-and-coming team after going to the Super Bowl. And I took the Colts. And I took the Colts, Skip. I think the Harold Landry, he tore his ACL this week in practice.
He did.
I love Simons, but Tannehill, I just don't trust him. And I love what the Colts have done by going out and get Matt Ryan. That roster is a very talented roster, led by Jonathan Taylor, a solid offensive line. Defense is outstanding. Now they have a guy that's not going to turn the ball over, put them in harm's way. I like the Colts to win that division. Okay. You want me to go pick my wild cards?
Let's do divisions first.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, I am completely with you on the Bills.
Okay.
And yet you have been bullish on Belichick's Patriots, and it appears you don't have them threatening the Bills, right?
No, I do not.
Okay, I definitely don't have Tua's Dolphins threatening the Bills.
No.
And I definitely don't have the Jets. So I think that is an easy division to pick.
Yes.
I think they will run away with it and have a huge home field advantage into the playoffs.
Yes.
I will give you the Colts. I agree with the Colts because of Matt Ryan's presence there. What's our other one? Oh, Bengals. I'm bullish on the Bengals.
You like the Bengals?
I have them going a long way in the playoffs. We'll get to that in just a moment. But I just think they got even better than they were last year when they almost won the Super Bowl. Okay. Which brings me to your old division, the AFC West.
Yes.
I said this early in camp. I'm sticking with it. I believe the once Oakland, now Las Vegas Raiders will win that division, because it will be Derek Carr throwing to his old college teammate Devontae Adams, if not Hunter Renfrow, plays called by Josh McDaniels. I love all of the above. I think that's going to be a golden connection all the way across the board.
Chandler Jones with Max Crosby.
I like them both coming off the edge, and I like the safeties there. I like everything about them. I like their momentum from last year. Remember, they went 10-7 last year.
Right.
And they went to Cincinnati to play a playoff game, and they lost 26-19. It was a battle.
Yes.
It was competitive.
Yeah.
It was they gave a good account of themselves before Josh McDaniels took over as the new head coach. Yeah. So I like everything about them, and I think people are basically sleeping on them.
Okay. So we have two alike. We got the Colts and the Bills. We agree on those. I went Chiefs. You went Raiders. I went Ravens. You went Bengals.
Okay. Wild cards.
Wild cards. I went Chargers, Broncos, and Bengals. I think, Skip, the Chargers, their roster with Herbert and Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Eckler, and I love the addition of Khalil Mack. He's had a down last 2 seasons, but now you bring him in and you pair him with Joey Bosa. You also brought J.C. Jackson in, who's one of the premier corners. Now, he's going to probably miss the first month of the season because of the ankle surgery, but once he gets back, locks down the back end along with Derwin James, I like them, and I think they're a really sneaky team this year, and I think they're going to go far. So I like the Chargers, Broncos, and Bengals as wild cards.
All right. Go ahead and finish it off. You have in your AFC Championship game the
Chargers and the Bills.
You finally went against the chalk. You went with the Chargers?
I did.
The Chargers.
I went with the Chargers and the Bills.
And that game will be in Buffalo.
It will be in Buffalo.
So am I assuming you got the Bills winning the championship game?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Oh, you don't have the Chargers advancing?
I do not have the Chargers advancing to the Super Bowl.
Okay. So it's a pretty...
I don't think I do. No, I don't.
You sure?
Oh, I do.
Oh, you do?
I got the upset.
Wait a second.
Yes,
Shannon Sharpe has some guts.
I have the upset. I do, because I got I won't give my other team away, but I think you're going to be surprised. We might have something special, something we haven't seen in a very, 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 I don't know if we've ever seen it.
Oh, well, it sounds like it's going to be a hometown Super Bowl.
We might be a little late. We might be a little late for it, but hey, we're going to get it anyway.
It sounds like you have an all-LA Super Bowl. It also sounds like Shannon Sharpe, when in Rome, is doing what the Romans do, because he now lives in Los Angeles. It sounds like he's getting caught up in the local hype of Chargers-Rams.
I think I have bought into the hype, because I think the Rams are legit. But maybe I have gotten swept up in the whirlwind with Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen and Williams and Eckler and with the new additions that they brought defensively. I don't think they're going to be as reckless on fourth downs. I think you need to be a little bit more judicious on when you go for it and when you punt the football away. So I think that was something that Staley, he's learned his lesson. And I think moving forward, I think Skip, this team is really, really good. I love Justin Herbert. That man, I did not see this in college. I thought he had great legs. He was shaky, but he's poised beyond his years. Big time arm, can make every throw and every throw that you need. I like the Rams. I think the Rams are going to. I think the Chargers are going to spring the upset on Buffalo. I know I don't like. You don't really like warm weather teams because it's going to be, you already know, in late January in Buffalo, the weather's going to be terrible. You're not getting 60 degrees. You're going to get snow. You're going to get sleet. You're getting some kind of inclement weather. And Buffalo is better suited to handle those kinds of conditions. But I like the Chargers. I think they're going to get it done this year.
Okay, I'm going to address the Chargers first because I do not have them making the playoffs. What? They are not even a wild card. I do not have them making the playoffs, nor do I have your Denver Broncos making the playoffs. Out of the toughest division in football, the AFC West, which will be won by the Raiders, and that will be a one-and-done playoff team. I don't have a second playoff team coming out of the West.
Wait a minute.
No, I'm sorry, I got the Chiefs. I got the Chiefs.
Okay.
I don't have one of your two teams, Denver or Chargers.
Okay, so you got Chiefs as a wild card.
Here's my issue with the Chargers. They went in Justin Herbert's rookie year, they went 7-9. They went 9-8 last year. But the harder I looked at how they finished last year, they went 5-6 in their last 11 games, and then they closed by losing 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
Does Justin Herbert win the biggest games on the biggest stages? Is he going to break through this year? Because he couldn't break through last year. He lost to Kansas City in overtime.
They had that game won. They should have won that game.
And they didn't. And then he went to the Texans and lost with a QBR of 50. That's no good because that really sent them into a tailspin into their finale. They went to Las Vegas and they lost in overtime again. He played pretty well in that game, though he was slightly under his year's QBR. But the point is, his QBR over the last 3 games averaged 57. It's just above average. So it's not great. They weren't great. I'm not sure I trust the head coach. I just don't know. He might be the guy that you finally decide was a better coordinator than a head coach because he gets a little wacky with his decision making.
Yeah, those fourth down calls.
And I'm here to say that a guy that you played football with named Anthony Lynn, I prefer him. I would give them a better chance if he were still the head coach. Obviously, he's now the assistant head coach with Kyle Shanahan.
The Niners.
Yeah. And yet I have high regard for him, for his guts, his toughness, his mental toughness that translates to the football team. And I can't defend exactly how they did, but I just thought he was a little better CEO, a little better head coach than Brandon Staley will turn out to be. So they did add J.C. Jackson, but he had ankle surgery, and I don't even know when he's going to be back. So I'm going to have to cancel that one out. So it's all going to come down to, is this quarterback the guy or not the guy? I'm not completely sold on his poise and command in the biggest moments. I don't see it yet. If you put him in a vacuum, if you put him at the combine, if you put him in punt, pass, and kick, if all that, I mean, he's off the charts. He's a scratch golfer on top of all this. He has extraordinary ability. He moves for his height and size very well.
Big time arm.
Big rocket arm. We got that. I just don't know. This position is played, to me, a little more with intangibles than tangibles, and I'm not sure of his intangibles yet. And I agree with you. I watched him a lot at Oregon, and I was not high on him coming out of Oregon. In their biggest games, he really folded up. So
he lost to Bo Nix.
He did. I saw it. I watched it. I agree. So you've impressed me because you show me you have some stones this year. You actually said, I got the Chargers. You have never, in our 6 years together, had any guts or any real courage of your convictions. You just go with the chalk. Rock, chalk, Shannon.
It's Skip, if you think about it, the Chargers had a nice little, you think about it, they had Fouts, they had Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, and now they got Justin Herbert. So they've had a line of quarterbacks.
And what do they have to show for it?
That's my point. he might be the best of them all, and he might be the one that get them finally to a Super Bowl.
Once upon a time, if Dan Fouts had a home AFC Championship game instead of one that was like minus 50 wind chill in Cincinnati,
yes.
remember that?
Yes.
Maybe they would have broken through that year, but they
And it was
didn't.
Stan Humphries that got him to the Super Bowl in, what, 94?
And they were a mismatch against Jerry
they were
Rice.
winning that game.
It was just a complete wipeout.
So you got Chiefs as a wild card.
Okay, I got Chiefs as a wild card. I got Ravens as a wild card.
Okay.
And I'm going to have one guts pick. I'm going to go to the end of the limb on this one. I thought about Tennessee, but I'm with you after they lost Landry, and obviously they lost Brown. And I'm just not sure about them. I love their coach. I think he's a top 5. He might even be a top 3 coach.
I love him too.
But I'm not sure he can coach this team above its fate or its plight right now. I'm just going to take a flyer on Jacksonville as a wild card team. I am, because Doug Peterson can coach. We saw him coach a team all the way past Belichick to a Super Bowl championship when Belichick mysteriously, inexplicably benched Malcolm Butler.
Right.
The point is, they are a loaded young football team on the verge. And every year there's some team that just comes out of nowhere and you say, how did they do that?
Yeah.
Well, they're the team that's poised to do that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now I fast forward to AFC Championship game. I'm going to do a repeat. I'm going to do, here we go again with Bengals over Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow over Patrick Mahomes in the championship game, which means that somewhere, somehow, Buffalo is going to have to fall, and I say it will be to Patrick Mahomes again. I believe Mahomes has Josh Allen's number.
So you believe that Mahomes is going to have to go to Buffalo?
He's going to, this time he would have to, because they're going to pile up too many wins in an extremely run-away-withable division.
Okay.
All right, let's now move. So I've got the Bengals going back to the Super Bowl. And again, real quick on the Bengals, I don't know what's not to love about the Bengals, because you don't seem to love them, but you realize they rebuilt their offensive line. Somehow, Joe Burrow got that team within sight of winning the Super Bowl, giving up last year. He got sacked 51 times in the regular season, by far the most in the league, and 19 times in the postseason, by far the most in the postseason. So they completely rebuilt. They replaced 4 out of 5 starters. They brought in my guy, Lyle Collins. We will probably miss him in Dallas. They brought in Brady's guy, Alex Kappa, to play right guard. They brought in Ted Karras, who started in New England, to play center. Jonah Williams is still at left tackle because he's the only one that was any good. They drafted that kid Cordell Volson out of North Dakota State, and they're starting him at guard. So it's they have 4 new starters in the offensive line, and they added Hayden Hurst at tight end, and the defense will pick right up where it left off because it's really good, and it was getting hotter and hotter.
But don't you think they called lightning in a bottle last year, Skip, that everything kind of just like broke for them and went their way?
Okay. Are you saying that Joe Burrow is an aberration?
No. I'm saying, but Skip, if you look at how they won the game in Tennessee, I mean, they get the late pick in the ball game, and then you see how they won the game in Kansas City, being down like they won.
We went back and forth the other day. To me, the best quarterback under 30 is the next Tom Brady, and that is Joe Burrow. So to me, Jamar Chase is still there, obviously. T. Higgins is still there. Tyler Boyd is still there. Hayden Hurst is the new tight end and will be a viable target for him. I love Joe Mixon. I love Samaje Perine. So I don't know what's not to love about this team. It was on the verge last year. It broke through, and maybe they become the Jim Kelly Bills. They keep getting back and losing, because I do not have them winning the Super Bowl, but I do have them returning to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
All right?
Okay, the NFC.
Yes,
I got the Cowboys in the East. I got the Rams in the West. Here's my surprise pick. I got the Vikings in the North.
How?
I got the Vikings.
How?
Because, Skip, if you look at it, they signed Zadarius Smith in free agency. He said, and I was reading him, he said the reason why he signed with the Vikings because of the way the Packers treated him last year, and I wanted to play my former team twice. I like that. I like when a guy got an axe to grind, a bone to pick. Danielle Hunter, finally healthy. 5 of their first 7 draft picks was on the defensive side of the football. They took a safety in the first round, took a cornerback, Andrew Booth from Clemson, in the second round. I think they built up, and when you pair him, Cousins, Irv Smith Jr. is back healthy, Thielen, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson is elite. I like their offense. I like them. I believe they're going to win the division. Lazard probably looking like he might not play this year. I think the Packers take a step back. I think you cannot lose the kind of production that Devontae Adams has given you in his career, especially over the last 3 years, and just think no matter how great, and Aaron Rodgers is historically great, I just don't believe you just pick right up where you left off offensively. So I think they struggle a little bit. Defensively, I think they're going to be really, really good. I do. I think the Packers defense is legit. But I think offensively they're going to struggle a little bit. I like the Vikings in that division. And also the South, I like the Bucs.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the Bucs.
So that team's quarterbacked by this guy Brady.
Yeah.
I thought you were the #1 Brady hater.
No.
So you just like the Bucs?
No, I like the Bucs because they're the most talented team in that division. Their defense is on par. If you say the Saints is a little better, they're right there with the Saints. But I think their offense is a little better than what the Saints possess. So for me, I'm taking the Bucs in the South.
I cannot fathom how you can pick Kirk Cousins over Aaron Rodgers.
I did it.
It just does not make any sense. You tell me that Aaron Rodgers is a transcendent thrower of the football, the greatest thrower of the football you have ever watched.
And I saw Jimmy Garoppolo beat him twice. I saw a lot of guys go in that building and beat the brakes off him. As great as he is, as 4 MVPs should at least means you got to at least at bare minimum 2 Super Bowls.
I've watched everybody beat the brakes off Kirk Cousins when it mattered because he will crumble and fold in any sort of clutch situation. You cannot trust him. He'll have games against mediocre teams where he'll throw parties, and he has the weaponry to throw parties.
Remember that one last year against the Packers? He threw a party against Aaron Rodgers in this building.
Okay, all right, I'll buy that. Every now and then he will be capable of that. But they will go nowhere with Kirk Cousins because they've never gone anywhere with Kirk Cousins, nor did Washington ever go anywhere with Kirk Cousins except watching him go to the bank. That's all. He goes to the bank, but he does not go to the playoffs.
He done cashed a lot of checks.
Okay, all right. So I don't understand. It seems like there's a groundswell of love for Kirk Cousins this year. Didn't our guy Michael Irvin, didn't he?
Did he?
Somebody told me that he picked him to be the MVP or something. I don't know, but it seems like people are on the Kirk Cousins bandwagon.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So, but you trust him?
I'm trusting him in this situation to win the division. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead and give me your wild cards.
My wild cards are Saints, Eagles, and Packers.
Okay, so you do have 2 coming out of my division, and you still have enough respect for the Packers that you think they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah. I think the Lions are much improved. The Bears, that offensive line, they're shaky. Pro Justin Fields, they need to redo his entire offensive line like the Bengals redid their entire offensive line for Joe Burrow. Skip, you can't get hit that many times as a young quarterback and be successful.
You cannot. Okay, it is now my turn.
Okay.
I will give you the Rams. We're going to talk much more about them later. And by the way, our Rambassador friend is going to be on. Eric Dickerson's going to join us in a little while here on the show.
Okay.
I will definitely give you the Bucs because I am bullish on the Buccaneers, starting with the quarterback.
Okay.
I still think the Packers are, it's like Aaron said yesterday. He said every year somebody tries to make a case for somebody else in our division, and it never happens because it doesn't ever happen. And I cannot make a case for Kirk Cousins, and I definitely can't make a case for anybody else in that division, even though the Lions lit it up on Hard Knocks. I got it. I watched a little bit here and there, but I wasn't that into it, and I'm not that into the Lions. I think they'll pull off an upset or 2, hopefully not against my Dallas Cowboys, but the point is that they're not going to win the division over Aaron Rodgers, and I'm sure he'll put up it's like I saw a stat yesterday, the numbers he's put up against that division, I think over the last X number, like 2 or 3 years, he's like 38 touchdowns to 0 interceptions within that division.
Yeah, he's got crazy stats.
Well, he just owns it. So I'm not going to bet against him in the regular season in that division.
Right. Okay.
Which brings me to my Cowboys. I'm going to unleash on this right here, right now. I tried the whole offseason. I tried to not fall into the Jerry trap because he and Steven set the trap for Cowboy fans every single year. And I've got a stat here, if I can find it somewhere. Here it is. Do you realize it has been 9,734 days since my Cowboys played in an NFC championship game?
Yeah.
We have to go all the way back to January 14th of 1996, a game that I obviously covered, a game against the Packers, a game the Cowboys won to advance to the Super Bowl against Pittsburgh that they obviously won. That was forever ago. That was 26 years ago. That was impossibly, since then in the postseason, my Dallas Cowboys, since those days, games I covered, the dynastic Cowboys, if you told me it would be 26 years until they played in another NFC championship game, I would have laughed in your face at that point, right?
Yes.
Do you realize ever since then, my Cowboys in the postseason are 4-11. That is the worst postseason record of any team in football over that 26 years of time. 26 years, 4-11.
We'll get the surprise at you boys.
Okay.
You seem surprised by this.
Well, no, I'm just saying I tried through the offseason to undersell, to back off, watch pot never boils. Just leave it alone. Leave it be. Don't mess with it, because all the signs through the offseason said no, no, no.
But
it's Mike McCarthy, it's Jerry Jones.
Thank you.
And it's middle of the pack Dak that you keep saying is nothing but middle of the pack, right? And it's a team that last year led the entire league in a lot of categories, but they also had the most penalties in the league, and then they set the franchise record for penalties in a playoff game in their home loss to San Francisco.
Okay.
And then I got turpentined. Where my life changed was the night against your Chargers. It was preseason game number 2 out here in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium.
Right.
And guess what happened in that game, if I can find my notes here.
You ran back a punt and the kickoff.
Okay, the first one was a kickoff. He goes 98 yards for a kickoff. I'd even forgotten he was on my team at that point, Cavante Turpin. And then he follows it right up, like 2 possessions later, with an 86-yard punt return. And it dawned upon me that Cavante Turpin was the USFL MVP as a receiver, not just as a kick returner, as a receiver. The USFL here on Fox that we talked about every Monday, we talked about highlights, and it seemed like every other Monday we're doing Cavante Turpin highlights, right? And he goes like 5'8", 165 pounds. He is flat out greased lightning. I've never seen such explosion in a Cowboy uniform, except maybe when Time was there, but Time was sort of deeper in his career at that point. This is lightning striking. And once it dawned upon me that after I went through the whole offseason of saying, wake up, Jerry, do something, well, he very quietly signed the USFL MVP. He's going to change my life on offense and in my return game, and I think you agree with that.
Yeah, hopefully he didn't leave all his returners in the preseason, his return yards, the touchdowns in the preseason.
Okay, well, I don't think he did.
So, is that what you're telling me? So you leaning to the Cowboys?
What I'm saying is, I kept saying Eagles, Eagles, Eagles. Everybody, all the experts are picking the Eagles. Everywhere I turn, I looked at USA Today, their whole staff picks. It was a majority Eagles, Eagles, Eagles to win the East. I love Jalen Hurts, but I love my team more because there's something going on here. And then when I saw that Madden simulation, as crazy as this might sound, it had my Cowboys going all the way to the NFC Championship game, and it had Dak Prescott running away with and shattering records on the way to MVP. Well, that started to get me. And then we've got Micah starting next Tuesday right here on the show, and he's 11 from heaven.
Yeah.
And he's been talking big and bold how they're going to set the standard for how defense is played.
You only got 111, though.
Okay.
You don't have 2 or 3 of them.
All I know is we got 11 and nobody else does. And that's a big deal to me. I'm on the record that CeeDee Lamb is going to have a breakout superstar top 5 receiver year. Now that the decks have been cleared of Amari Cooper, it's addition by subtraction. Here comes CD. He will light up the offense. I've told you Zeke is going to have one last hurrah of a year for the Dallas Cowboys.
Sometimes the sun shines through the clouds.
Okay. Right.
If you that dude, it don't matter who on the other side of you. If he's what you said he was, he should have shown.
Okay, and every time I looked up, Tyler Smith was flashing on my TV screen. I think he's going to be really good.
Every time I looked up, I saw some yellow on the field.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, I saw yellow early in the first game, but then he did lead the league, obviously the world in penalties last year.
It's coming again.
I think he's going to be very good.
Okay.
I think Jake Ferguson, who you are falling in love with, is going to have big impact on my offense.
Yeah, I like
All of a sudden, when I thought that Jerry didn't do anything to make this team better, I think it got better. I think it's on hair trigger to explode.
Are you saying this is a better team that lost in the divisional round, that lost in the wild card game to San Francisco? Are you saying this is a better team? I am saying
this is a better team.
I
just got a better feeling. I got Micah a year older. Micah was a little timid early last year because he's respectful of his elders.
Well, you don't have Tyron Smith.
Okay. I got Tyler Smith. How about that? I got Tyler Smith. How about I'll take the lure.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
I'll see how you feel about this on Sunday. On Monday when we come in.
Okay, so here's my prediction. I believe that my Dallas Cowboys are about to have the greatest year they have had since 1995.
Oh, man,
since 1995. I believe they are going to advance all the way to the NFC Championship game, upon which they will lose to Tom Brady's Buccaneers because they're not that good. I do believe they're going to beat Brady on Sunday night to open the season, and it will get them off to a hot start. But Brady is too good. We're going to get into the MVP in a little later. I'm on record. I think he's going to win MVP, and I think he will lift the Buccaneers to unfinished business, which is going on to win another Super Bowl. I believe that Brady will beat the Bengals and the next Brady in this year's Super Bowl in Phoenix on Fox.
First, well, my championship game is going to shock the very conscience of people. I got the Rams beating the Vikings.
The Vikings in the championship game? You got Kirk Cousins?
I got first Cousins.
Okay.
I got first.
So would he have to win maybe 2 playoff games to get to that one?
Yep.
Maybe.
Yes.
Okay, right?
But at the first game, because they're going to win the division, I got them picked to win the division. His first playoff game will be at home.
Okay. And yet, will they have a good enough record to have home field? No.
Probably not, because I think, because the Cowboys are in that terrible division. The Bucs division is not that strong, and the Rams. So, they'll probably be at best case scenario, they'll probably be the 3rd seed.
Okay.
And that's at the best case scenario.
I am proud of you for plunging for once in your life. I don't know what got into you, but it was a ridiculous plunge. You will look foolish. You have just bet on Kirk Cousins. You just bet on him to get all the way to the championship game.
He says he has a guy that believes in him right now. I'm not so sure Zim believed in him. And so now, sometimes, Skip, you just need somebody to believe in you. You need that one person. You believe in yourself, but you need that one person that says, you know what? You can do this, son.
Okay. That is insane to me. I would never bet a nickel on Kirk Cousins. And you just bet your pride and your reputation on Kirk Cousins.
And Super Bowl, Rams-Chargers.
Rams-Chargers, hometown Super Bowl. Shannon Sharpe lives up in a palatial estate up in Bel Air. He will gaze down upon the Super Bowl, and I assume he will be at the Super Bowl with pom-poms.
Yeah, hey, but it's in Arizona this year. Yep. I'm a year too late, but that's okay. Long as we get this matchup, and I got the Rams repeated.
Well, this will allow you to, when you go out in the afternoon to the stores that you go to, everybody will say, "Thank you, Shannon. We love you, Shannon, for picking Rams-Chargers."
No, I think
Was that your MO here?
No, I think they'll like the fact that I picked the Rams, but I haven't seen a whole lot of Charger fans out here yet.
No, it's sort of like Lakers-Clippers a little bit.
Exactly. But I think once they start winning, and I think they will win. I think they'll win 10 games this year at least.
Okay.
And make the playoffs, and they're going to be a dangerous team. Once they get into the playoffs, I can see this team doing what the Bengals did last year.
Okay, I completely disagree. I do not trust Justin Herbert at the highest levels just yet. Not sure I ever will.
You will.
I think you've been wrong and wronger and wrongest today, which brings me to the last piece to my little puzzle are my 3 wildcard teams. I told you Jalen Hurts is the real deal, and he will lead the Eagles to a very good record because the Eagles and the Cowboys play the 2 easiest schedules in football, and they will be a wild card team, and you have them as a wild card team, I believe, right?
Who?
The Eagles.
Yeah, I do have them as a wild card.
Okay, so you have as much respect for them as I
do,
right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so maybe you're coming around on Jalen Hurts a little bit.
Yeah, but Skip, look, come on. The Commanders? Really? The Giants?
Okay. But you still got them being a wild card team, right?
Yes.
Okay, and my other 2 wild cards are Trey Lance will get this team to the playoffs because the 49ers just might be the most loaded football team outside of the first-year starting quarterback that there is in football. That team is flat out star-studded all across the ball, and I believe Trey Lance will live up to that and be the wild card out of the West and push the Rams in that division.
Okay, what's the other wild card you got?
You know who it is. I already told you it is. It's Baker Mayfield. He will light a new fire with the Carolina Panthers. I'm on record. I had the courage of my convictions. I called this early, and I'm standing by it late. They will be a wild card team. I'm not seeing them going anywhere in the playoffs, but they will be a wild card team coming out of Brady's division. And by the way, I hate to say this, bearer bad tidings to Jen, but I don't have the Saints making the playoffs.
Saints making.
I don't. Sorry. It's going to be Baker's year.
The defense too good not to.
Yeah.
Mike Thomas is back.
I know. They're good. It's just a question of the quarterback. Can he play up to a high enough level? And I think he's going to get outplayed by Baker within the division, and Baker's going to win one more game, might even win some tiebreaker type of game.
Zero chance that happens.
Yeah, big chance, 100% chance.
Now, Skip, wait a second. We had a deal. I was going to pull for the Cowboys to play in the divisional game.
I didn't.
You were going to
I don't
pull for
remember
my
that
Saints
deal.
to go to the Super Bowl.
I told you.
Hey.
I told you go backstab you, Jen. I
We're gonna
told
run
you
that
this.
tape back.
All is fair in love and football, right?
I told you to go
This is
backstab you,
true.
Jen.
Well,
I told you.
I do love your predictions, Skip, about the Jaguars. I'll be covering that game on Sunday with Chris
good.
Myers and Robert Smith, so I'll let
that'd
you
be
guys know. And Robert's going to
Very
love your
cool.
thoughts on the Vikings,
I
Shannon.
love Robert.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.